Hurricane season is now underway, and tonight we're taking you inside what you need to know. We're talking with the Red Cross about the critical items you should secure before a storm hits, breaking down NOAA's new cone graphics, and looking back at hard lessons learned from past hurricanes. We've got you covered from start to finish. First, let's talk about what we could see this year. Our chief meteorologist, Chevy Chevalier, is joining us now with those details. Chevy?
Yeah, JR. NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, recently released their 2026 hurricane season outlook. This annual release predicts how many tropical cyclones are expected, along with the expected intensities for the hurricane season, which runs from today all the way through November 30th. There are many factors that go into how many tropical cyclones are expected for a season, as well as how intense they may be. But the most important factor is, will we have El Niño or La Niña conditions? El Niño conditions are warmer than average Pacific Ocean tropical sea surface temperatures, and La Niña conditions are cooler than average Pacific tropical waters. If we have El Niño conditions, the central and eastern Pacific Ocean basins usually have an above average number of tropical cyclones, and the Atlantic basin has fewer. We currently have ENSO neutral conditions, but we are expected to transition to El Niño conditions during the season, possibly shifting to very strong El Niño conditions. Therefore, the hurricane season is expected to be below normal for the Atlantic Ocean, and that's exactly what it is. An average hurricane season for the Atlantic Basin consists of 14 named storms, which are tropical storm strength or higher, which have sustained winds of 39 miles per hour or greater. For the 2026 hurricane season, NOAA is predicting 8 to 14 named tropical cyclones, 3 to 6 of which may become hurricanes, and 1 to 3 of which may become major hurricanes. NOAA also provides the chances for the Atlantic to have an above average, a normal, and below normal hurricane season. For the 2026 hurricane season, there's a 55% chance to have a below normal season, a 35% chance to have a normal season, and only a 10% chance to have an above normal season. NOAA even told us how confident they are with this outlook. They have 70% confidence in their 2026 hurricane season outlook. And JR, despite the hurricane season outlook, you should always have a plan in the event there's a hurricane that will impact you, your family, and your house. No matter how many hurricanes occur, it only takes one to upend someone's life.
All right, Chevy, how does this year's outlook compare to last year, and were they right?
Yeah, were they right? That's a good question, JR, because does anyone go back and check and see if they were actually correct? Last year, we had 13 storms, 5 hurricanes, 13 named storms, and 4 major hurricanes. But what was their forecast? Well, let's take a look at it and give them a report card here. 13 named storms, they nailed it within that range. How about hurricanes? 6 to 10 was the forecast, and we had 5, so just one off there, so pretty good. And then how about how many major hurricanes did we see? We had 4, so they nailed that one too. So overall, I'd give them an A plus if they would have got that one, but that's a pretty good forecast.
All right, Chief, thank you so much. The National Hurricane Center also issued new forecast cone graphics for the upcoming season. News 19's Lana Foss explains what you need to know.
Well, each hurricane season, with every named storm, NOAA puts out a forecast cone showing where a tropical system is expected to track. This is the version that we've been using for years, but starting this season, it's getting an update with a few key changes designed to improve how we understand storm risks. One of the biggest changes is how watches and warnings are displayed. In the past, those alerts were mainly focused along the coastline, and now inland areas can be highlighted as well, giving a better picture of where impacts could happen. The cone itself is also getting a cleaner look. Instead of changing colors farther out in time, it's now showing as one consistent shade, reinforcing that this is a track forecast and not the size of a storm. As forecast accuracy does improve, the cone has actually gotten slightly smaller, helping pinpoint where the storm center is more likely to go. You may also notice new symbols in the legend, including overlapping alerts that show areas facing multiple threats at the same time. But even with these improvements, the message stays the same. Impacts like wind, rain, storm surge can reach far outside the cone. So don't just focus on the line, focus on the risk factors.
And as we prepare for the new hurricane season, we're looking back at a storm that changed lives here in the Midlands. This September marks 2 years since Hurricane Helene moved inland from the Gulf Coast, leaving thousands dealing with damage and recovery. Newberry County was one of the hardest hit areas in the Midlands, with powerful winds bringing down trees and damaging homes and leaving widespread power outages. Here's News 19's Megan Dowkes.
The morning Hurricane Helene moved into Newberry County, Vanessa DeMola woke up early and stepped outside her home in Prosperity to check the weather.
I could hear what sounded like a train. I don't know that we had a tornado. I don't actually think that it was ever recorded as a tornado, but I stepped back in the house.
Just moments later, she experienced what every homeowner fears.
The sound itself was a very loud crack. And then it was just a roar. I don't know how else to really break that down. It was so much sound all at once. And because the house itself was shifting, it was just a big swirl. I felt kind of like I was in the Wizard of Oz for half a second. But ultimately, my thought process was push yourself into the couch.
DeMola says a tree estimated to be between 60 and 80 years old crashed into her home. When daylight arrived, she and her family finally saw the full extent of the damage.
At that point, we weren't sure what to do. The tree didn't seem like it was trying to come through the house actively, but it was raining inside the house.
The tree fell through the front porch, splitting part of their home. DeMola, her husband, and their dogs were inside at the time, but no one was hurt. She says she called 911, gathered her pets, and prepared in case they had to leave. Not far down the road, Monk Turner was dealing with damage of his own, but he didn't know it yet. Turner was out working with Newberry Electric Co-op, helping restore power across the community, when family and neighbors called to tell him a tree had fallen on his home. By the time he arrived, neighbors had already cleared the driveway so he could get through.
Pulled up right here, get out, and the tree is on my roof, and I said, well, at least it's on the garage part. So with that, I just sort of let it go, got back in the truck, went to work, and then that's when the phone call started coming in that we're gonna help you out helping others, and we're gonna help you.
Turner says the tree had been planted before he built the home nearly 30 years ago. Today, only the stump remains.
The tree was actually right here, and that's the stump left I hadn't taken out yet. And with that being said, it could have been a lot worse. I had minimum damage compared to what it could have been.
The community came together for Turner, clearing out debris and removing the tree within a week. His roof was repaired just 3 weeks later.
They said, you out there helping people, let us help you. And that's what come together. And what a great feeling it was.
Back down the road, DeMola says crews used a crane to remove the tree from her home within 3 days. But without homeowners insurance, the family turned to FEMA for help. She says the process moved quickly.
We did end up getting a check from FEMA. It didn't cover all of the expenses, but it did help. It helped quite a bit, actually. It came quickly, the FEMA check did, so that we were able to get started right away. There was a lot of the leaks that had happened through the ceiling had to be repaired immediately. Then we had to take down what was the porch, and it had ripped some of the front-facing boards of the house off as well. Mm-hmm. The roof itself all had to be taken off and redone. And the FEMA money came in handy in those first few days.
It took 6 months to completely repair their home, with help from family and friends, and also having to dip into savings. But it meant they didn't have to leave their home.
Because it was such an experience when you have such a traumatic event happen, to have so much love and be able to feel it so significantly. It was an amazing time afterward.
Reporting in Newberry County, Megan Dowkes, News 19, WLTX.
And tonight, Newberry County leaders say every hurricane serves as a reminder to prepare for the worst because conditions can quickly change. Still ahead tonight, we're going to share the simple steps you can take now to protect you and your family. That and more when we come back. Welcome back now. With hurricane season lasting 6 months, many people believe they have plenty of time to prepare. But tonight, the experts say it's best not to wait until the last minute to take action. News 19 meteorologist Brianna Mowry shares simple steps you can do now to protect you and your family.
At Blythewood Feed and Hardware, owner James Reimer says once a storm approaches, demand for supplies increases.
The phone starts lighting up a lot, people calling to see exactly what products you do have in stock, and the doors fly open a lot.
He says people come in looking for the essentials.
We sell a lot of batteries, sell a lot of flashlights. People also buy a bunch of propane and propane cookers and all.
He also says one of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting until the last minute.
Every year, everybody says they'll come in and they'll buy 1 or 2 flashlights and 1 or 2 packs of batteries. Then when it hits and they find out they're out of power for 3 or 4 days, we're out of inventory at the time.
Beyond stocking up on supplies, the National Weather Service also recommends reviewing your homeowner's insurance policy. Here in South Carolina, most policies cover wind damage, but flood damage typically requires a separate flood insurance policy. According to FEMA, just 1 inch of floodwater can cause thousands of dollars in damage. And emergency officials also recommend inspecting your property before severe weather arrives. That includes reviewing dead or weak trees that could become dangerous in strong winds. Trimming or removing weak trees and limbs now can help prevent damage to roofs, windows, vehicles, and power lines. Outdoor furniture like patio chairs, tables, and decor can also become flying debris during a storm. These items can be brought inside or anchored to prevent damage or injuries. And if you plan on using a generator during power outages, experts say it should never be used indoors and must be kept at least 20 feet away from homes and garages and should be kept dry. Meteorologist Brianna Mowry, News 19, WLTX.
All right, some good advice there, Brianna. Thank you so very much. We did go out and about in your neighborhood to ask people how they're getting ready for hurricane season. And these are some of the comments that we heard. Take a listen.
I run to the store, I grab bread, I grab water, I try to make sure I grab a generator. I try to save some for everybody else because I know everybody else out here need it. And that's basically what I do. I just stock up and pack up.
I would stack up on a lot of sandbags. I would prep a lot of water, gasoline, a lot of food, meaning-wise canned goods. I would stack up on a lot of sandwiches, a lot of bags of ice.
When I hear that a hurricane is coming, is of course get my main essentials like my groceries, sandwiches, eggs, bread, gas, candles. If you have a generator, that could work too, your power can be out. Just the main essential things.
Well, again, it is important if we do have a hurricane to listen to the experts and plan accordingly. All right, still ahead, the Red Cross says one simple bag could make all the difference during an emergency. We'll show you what you need to pack before the storm. That's coming up in just a moment. All right, welcome back again. Hurricane season getting underway today. It lasts 6 months through the end of November. And in times of disaster like hurricanes, the American Red Cross is there. They usually help families following fires or tornadoes or other storms, even hurricanes. And tonight, the Red Cross encouraging you to start preparing now in case a hurricane hits. News 19's Ariana Clay sitting down with the Red Cross to explain the importance of what you need to have right now.
It all starts with a go bag. From phone chargers to flashlights and important documents, this bag is meant to hold the things you may need if you have to leave home quickly during a hurricane.
Denise Teasdale, Executive Director of the American Red Cross of South Carolina's Central Chapter, walked News 19 through what every person should have before a storm.
Everyone needs their own preparedness bag, even the children. You want to make sure that when you're preparing your hurricane preparedness bag, that you have your essentials as well as your children's needs may be totally different from yours. So you want to make sure, and even if you have someone elderly in the home, their backpack may look a little bit different as well.
Teasdale says some of the most important items to pack include water, medications, first aid items, batteries, flashlights, and easy-to-carry food.
It should last up to 2 to 3 weeks.
Some of those items include non-perishable foods that are easy to store and easy to take on the go.
You don't have to warm them up. You don't need a stove or anything like that. So you're looking for more of those items that pack easy.
Columbia resident Daniel Kenny says he's experienced storms himself and knows how important it is to have a plan.
We have an emergency kit that we keep in the house that's set for emergencies just in case. So we were kind of well prepared for the situations.
Some other good practices to have are keeping extra cash on hand, packing extra clothes and blankets, and having copies of important documents like insurance cards and IDs. In Columbia, Ariana Clay, News 19 WLTX.
Some good advice there from the Red Cross tonight. By the way, the Red Cross, they do offer classes to help you know what to do in the event of an emergency like a hurricane. Courses are available online, in person, and in a blended format, including the new Until Help Arrives online course. If you are interested in doing any of this, you can simply contact the American Red Cross in your area. You can find their number online. When we come back, how the State Emergency Management Agency is using lessons learned from past storms to keep you and your family safe, specifically those power lines and trees, how they can cause problems for days and weeks on end. Those details when we come back. Well, tonight, the men and women over at the State Emergency Management Agency stand ready to assist before and after whatever storms could impact the state of South Carolina. And they do so now using lessons learned from past storms. It's hurricane season in South Carolina. Each year, the men and women at the State Emergency Management Agency work overtime to keep all of us safe.
We stay in a constant state of preparedness to make sure that we're ready for whatever happens in South Carolina.
Director Kim Stinson says his agency uses past hurricanes to do their job better. He especially mentioned Hurricane Helene, the 2024 storm causing significant damage to trees and power lines.
Because of the massive amount of debris that was entangled with electric lines, that creates a real problem. You want to make sure those electric lines are safe for the power people to make sure that they're cut. Those lines so that the people that are actually removing the debris can get in there and get that out safely. So that certainly was a lesson learned probably again that we had to go through, so that we're taking steps to make sure that we've got the proper system and plans in place to basically affect that local and electric utility coordination for that disentanglement.
Stinson's agency also learning lessons from mass care feeding. During Helene, they provided enough food and water for nearly 1 million meals, but not everything went as planned.
That we typically haven't in the last several years done a lot of is feeding, mass care feeding. And so it takes a while to get ramped up for something like that. And what we find in emergency management is those things that we do on a regular basis and do, often, then we get pretty good at it. And in some cases, those areas, and feeding was one of them that we needed to do some more work on to make sure that we got food to the right places at the right time.
Following major hurricanes, building codes have changed over the years, especially along the coast, where homes are now being built to withstand higher winds. The insurance industry playing a big role in all of that due to massive payouts after major storms.
Well, right now we have not gotten too much involved in that at State Emergency Management. That's mostly a local issue and the building codes and working through that. But structurally, I'm sure that we're a lot better off than a lot of places are.
And some of those homes being built to withstand winds of up to 130 miles per hour. That is going to wrap up our look ahead to the 2026 hurricane season. And remember, if a storm impacts South Carolina, we will be with you from start to finish, both on air and online at WLTX.com.